Only 3,300 made. Why so few? What's the reason? Dodge Demon almost never happened. One man changed everything. His name, Tim Kuniskis. He fought for it. The year was 2015. A secret project began. Codename, APR. A beast was born. You'll discover the shocking truth. By the end of this story, you'll know why. Dodge had been teasing a new monster for months, and the anticipation was building up. The Demon was rumored to be a Hellcat on steroids, with a whopping 840 horsepower and 770 lb-ft of torque. But what the public didn't know was that the Demon was almost never meant to be. The project was shrouded in secrecy, and only a handful of people within the company knew about it. Tim Kuniskis, the head of passenger car brands for Fiat Chrysler automobiles, was the driving force behind the project. He had to convince the higher-ups to greenlight the Demon, and it wasn't an easy sell. The story begins in 2015, when Kuniskis and his team started working on the APR project. The goal was to create a car that would dominate the drag strip, a car that would leave all others in its dust. They started with the Hellcat, a car that was already a beast in its own right, and tweaked it to perfection. The team worked tirelessly, testing and refining the car, pushing it to its limits. But despite their progress, the project was constantly at risk of being axed. The company was hesitant to invest in a car that would be so niche, so extreme. Kuniskis and his team knew they had to prove that the Demon was more than just a novelty, that it was a car that could actually sell. They presented their case to the company's top brass, showcasing the car's incredible performance and the potential market for it. But the higher-ups were still skeptical, and the project was repeatedly put on hold. It seemed like the Demon was doomed to never see the light of day. The team was on edge, waiting for the final verdict. Would the Demon be given the green light, or would it be canned forever? As the months went by, the tension built up. The team was working on a tight deadline, and the pressure was mounting. They knew that if they didn't deliver, the project would be scrapped. The company was watching their every move, waiting for them to slip up so they could pull the plug. The Demon was a high-risk, high-reward project, and everyone knew it. One mistake, and it would be over. But Kuniskis and his team were determined to make it happen. They poured their hearts and souls into the project, working around the clock to get it just right. The team's hard work was paying off, but the company's doubts still lingered. The Demon was a car that would be unlike anything else on the market, a car that would appeal to a very specific type of buyer. The company was worried that it would be too expensive, too extreme, and too niche. They were afraid that it would be a flop, a car that would sit on dealer lots for months, unsold and unloved. But Kuniskis and his team were convinced that they were onto something special. They knew that the Demon had the potential to be a game-changer, a car that would put Dodge back on the map. As the project neared its deadline, the tension reached a boiling point. The team was working around the clock, putting the finishing touches on the Demon. They were exhausted, but exhilarated. They knew that they were creating something truly special, something that would leave a lasting impact on the automotive world. But just as they were about to cross the finish line, disaster struck. The company's top brass called a meeting to discuss the project's future. The Demon's fate hung in the balance, and Kuniskis and his team held their breath as they waited for the verdict. Would the Demon be given the green light, or would it be canned forever? The meeting was about to start, and the team's fate would be decided. The room was silent, the only sound the quiet hum of anticipation. And then, just as the meeting was about to begin, Kuniskis received a call that would change everything. Kuniskis answered the call, his heart racing with anticipation. As he listened to the voice on the other end, his expression changed from calm to concerned. The call was from the NHRA, the National Hot Rod Association, and they had some disturbing news to share. It turned out that the Demon's incredible performance capabilities had raised some red flags, and the NHRA was considering banning the car from competition due to its extreme power output. But what happened next, nobody saw coming. The NHRA representative on the phone informed Kuniskis that the only way the Demon could be allowed to compete was if it was significantly modified to reduce its power, essentially neutering the car's performance. This was a devastating blow, as the entire purpose of the Demon was to be a track-ready, street-legal monster. The news sent shockwaves through the room, as the team struggled to come to terms with the possibility of their creation being banned from competition. Kuniskis and his team knew that they had to act fast, or risk seeing their life's work go up in flames. They quickly got to work, trying to find a solution that would satisfy the NHRA's concerns, while still keeping the Demon true to its spirit. The team worked tirelessly, poring over data and running simulations, trying to find a way to reduce the Demon's power output without sacrificing its performance. And this is where everything changed. They discovered that by implementing a few key modifications, they could reduce the Demon's power output just enough to satisfy the NHRA, while still keeping the car's performance intact. But just as they thought they had found a solution, another hurdle emerged. The company's lawyers got involved, and they started to raise concerns about the Demon's safety and liability. They argued that the car's extreme performance capabilities made it a lawsuit waiting to happen, and that the company could be held responsible if someone got hurt while driving the Demon. The real reason will shock you. It turned out that the lawyers were not just concerned about the safety of the drivers, but also about the potential damage to the company's reputation. They knew that if the Demon was involved in a high-profile accident, it could tarnish the company's image and hurt sales. Kuniskis and his team were faced with an impossible decision. On one hand, they had a car that was capable of incredible performance, but on the other hand, they had a potential liability on their hands. What they discovered next changed everything. They found that by implementing a few key safety features, such as an advanced traction control system and a sophisticated stability control system, they could mitigate the risks associated with the Demon's performance. But there was one secret nobody knew about. The company's CEO had been watching the project from the sidelines, and he had been secretly rooting for the Demon's success. He saw the potential for the Demon to be a game-changer, and he was willing to take a risk to make it happen. The CEO stepped in, and he made an executive decision. He gave the Demon the green light, but with one condition: the team had to implement the safety features they had discovered, and they had to do it fast. The team worked around the clock, pouring their hearts and souls into the Demon. They knew that they were creating something special, something that would leave a lasting impact on the automotive world. And when the Demon was finally released, it was a huge success. It became a cult classic, with enthusiasts clamoring to get their hands on one. But the story of the Demon's development is a testament to the power of perseverance and determination. It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, great things can be achieved with hard work and dedication. As we look back on the story of the Demon, we are reminded of the importance of innovation and risk-taking. The Demon was a risk, but it was a risk that paid off. It pushed the boundaries of what was possible, and it inspired a new generation of car enthusiasts. And as we move forward, we must remember the lessons of the Demon. We must be willing to take risks, to push the boundaries, and to innovate. Because in the end, it's the risk-takers and the innovators who will shape the future of the automotive world. So, if you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and let's keep the spirit of innovation alive. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, so you can stay up to date on our latest videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.